Hello again, avid traders, and welcome out to your daily currency recap. This is Songit here, and let's break down today's market price action. It's a Tuesday, June the 4th. Busy week this week, so let's get into see what's really happening in the markets, do a top-down analysis, take a look at what's happening in the broader markets, bring it down to currency baskets, and then take a look at some possible setups ahead. Let's get into it.
Disclaimer. This video was created for professional stock and option traders. Maverick Trading is a proprietary trading firm that employs professional traders around the world. Our traders trade firm capital and keep 70 to 80% of profits they generate. All trades and analysis in this video are for professional traders only. If you are interested in becoming a professional trader for Maverick, click the apply button in the video description. Let's break down what happened today.
As we jump into the market analysis, this is again a lot of movements in the markets, and as we expected, this is a busy week, so we are going to see a lot of movements here. But let's just start with the performance change here, and you can see that the yen and the Swiss franc stood out the most. Again, decent moves, 1% in the yen and close to 1% in the Swiss franc. Swiss franc again is on an impressive run after being really weak. This is again catching a nice bit here. Outside of that, dollars holding steady. As you can see, that all the other currencies kind of looking weak here, especially the Aussie here that's standing out the most. So again, we have a clear idea on what's strong versus weak. Now let's see what the broader markets are doing. And you can see if the broader markets are holding up, well, you can see the S&P just trying to fight this level as we take a look at the news of the day. You know, the equity markets again are at the support, so key level that we're just still holding. So we can't really go a lot bearish here until we see that deterioration in the markets. Markets are still trying to fight and see if we actually rise from this level or they fall apart. I think this is going to be driven by the news events. Now, outside of that, the bond yields and the dollar, they are pulling back. We had data on Monday and a little bit data on Tuesday. It was a little dovish data, and that's really what's causing that slide in those two areas. Now, if we take a look at the numbers outside of the equity markets, you can see that the crypto is now having a nice little bounce here. Gold is weak, and so is the oil. Now, the outlook of the markets, again, is a bit of at the crossroad. Again, we are at a +1 in the bullishness, but take a look at the chart here. This is where we were last week, and we said, hey, that's a big change. We had fallen below this key level of resistance, which is now the support. Now you can see that market has sort of rallied above this level. So I think this now has become, again, the support. So at this point, we got a clear resistance, you got a clear support, and let's see if the market really breaks. It's still holding by this 20-day moving average. So yeah, this is where you get to be a little mild bullishness, but again, trying to figure out where is it going to go. We need a confirmation, which don't have yet. Now let's take a look at the schedule here. And this is where we need to focus on the highlights. We had the data on Monday, ISM manufacturing PMI numbers out of the US weaker, and that resulted in weaker dollar, and that resulted in slight pullback in the bond yields. Now we had the numbers out of the CPI out of the Switzerland was flat. And again, the Swiss franc continued to rise because that's where the momentum has been. Now, the numbers out of the US this morning was slightly weaker than expected. So we saw that resulted into slight weakness in the US dollar. And we saw the weakness in the bond yields. So the big question now is, where will you go in the next 24 hours? And the next 24 hours is really important because, again, we have the Aussie GDP tonight. But most importantly, we have this Bank of Canada rate statement tomorrow. And remember, they're expected to cut rates from 5% down to 4.75. This is important. And I think along with the CAD, the US will react to. We are going to see first the rate cut. This is widely expected. The big question is, what does it say in the statement? And then how other currencies react to it. I think that's really where you're going to see a lot of movement. So the next 24 hours, our primary focus is going to be the Canadian dollar crosses. And then we'll take a look at everything else and see what else is moving. And again, keep in mind that outside of that, we have some US data as well. We have the ADP numbers, and we have later the services PMI numbers. But again, the big one is going to be this Bank of Canada rate statement, which is likely to bring movements across the board. And as we progress later this week, there's still a lot to go through, with most importantly Friday on the jobs report out of the US and Canada. So there's a lot to digest here. So let's do our currency analysis and take a look at what's velocity score is telling us. And you can see that there is nice movement. We got +2 in Swiss franc and yen, and we have a -2 in Aussie CAD and then the USD. So there's decent pairings to be had over there. Again, both the Swiss franc and the yen, they had, their counter trend moves. They were very weak. Now they're bouncing, but the bounce continues. So we'll just take a look at and see what kind of run we can expect from them, or are they reaching any point of peak here? So let's just jump in, take a look at some possible trades ahead.
Do you want to be a professional trader? Maverick Currencies is the oldest US-based Forex and crypto prop trading company that will pay you for trading with our capital. Trade our capital and keep 70 to 80% of the profits. We are looking for traders just like you that are hardworking and motivated. Click the apply link on the top right of this video to see if you have what it takes. That link takes you to a 4-minute video that explains the trader position available, and you read a list of FAQs that answer pretty much all the basic questions you have at this point. After watching the video and reading the FAQs, if you're interested, fill out an application, then you'll watch the full-length recruiting video, and then schedule an interview with one of our traders. Are you our next trader?
And as we jump into the possible trades, let's just jump right into the Swiss franc. I know this one caught a lot of traders off guard, including me, because take a look at it. This thing has been weak for months. I mean, going back to 2024, starting February pretty much. February, you can see the March here, the April here, and even that bounce we got in May was quickly sold off. So everything is really pointing out to the downside. We got this big run here. So where we are with this run, you can see that we have cleared some good resistance level here. So at this point, it looks like it wants to just continue to run, but right now it looks exhausted here. It's likely to pull back a little bit further, but as long as it stays above the 20, above this exponential moving average, and above the parabolic SAR, this continues to be on the stronger side than the weaker side. And the daily chart, it looks extended to me, but again, this is where the momentum has been. See if we stall around this level. We got a little wick over here, but then managing a trade on this one, I got to come down to a 4-hour chart. 4-hour chart is just telling me it's a pullback. It's not telling me it's a change of trend. So you got to wait a little bit on this one after this big move. Now, same thing with the Swiss franc. You can see that, or the Japanese yen. You can see that this was sitting at all-time lows here, and then we caught a bit of a run here. Lately, again, the yen has been the good one to sell off the rallies, but I think it all really comes down to what happened with the dollar. You can see the dollar is looking weak at this point. So this is a bear rally formation. If the dollar stays weak, we're likely to see the yen or the Swiss franc continue to rise there. And if the dollar gets stronger, we're likely to see the opposite. I think this is where it's a bigger call on what the dollar does. And if the CAD tanks tomorrow, question is that can the dollar goes with it? You can see that the CAD is weakening ahead of that news. So there going to be, this key level of support. And if it breaks that level, there's definitely more risk to the downside. But yeah, this is where it all comes down to. Remember, a lot of times we get this buy the rumor, sell the news, meaning where we continue to see the prices move in that direction that market is expecting, and when we get the news, the market just reverses. So this could be a 2-part trade, but so far it's looking pretty weak. So initial move again could be the downside when we get that break cut, but the question is going to be the follow through move. So those could be those 2-part trades. So CAD still looks pretty weak. It goes on the top of the list. Aussie is pretty weak as well. And comparing to the Kiwi, Aussie is the underperformer. So don't really like Aussie on the long side, only like Aussie on the short side. And this is where I'll go back to the pair I was looking at on Friday in the currency room, was the Aussie Kiwi. And again, moving very nicely. Take a look at the clear break of support right here. And now it's making another low base. So I still like this on the downside. On the daily chart, you can see there's a lot more room for this to come down to about 106.50 down to 106. That's really where it's at. So right now on a 4-hour chart, we've got a nice little break here at 108, sitting above 107.60. Remember, tonight we have the Aussie GDP. So that will be the one that could really make this move worse, or catch a relief rally in Aussie, again, driven on that news event. But outside of that, again, Aussie looks the weakest here. Outside of that, I think Swiss franc likely to take a pause and see where it goes. But you can see that on our hourly chart, just shallow pullback here. So I will be more in cash tonight because my focus is going to be on the CAD tomorrow. Remember, CAD on the news. I'm going to see what happens initially and where's the second stage entry. That's really where I will be taking action. Right now, everybody knows that they're going to cut rates. What if they don't cut rates? Then again, we can expect a big rally in the CAD. But if they do cut rates, then we can expect initial move to the downside. But I want to see where does it go towards the end of the day. CAD Swiss franc had a big move. You can see on a daily chart. I had a nice little breakdown here. It's reaching the support. So there's a lot of good setups. The question is that are they too extended? Are they in for a little bounce? And maybe they could be in for a bounce. You can see the RSI on this one is hitting the support right here. So, good movements going into it. I just have to wait and see which way it goes after the news. So that's a game plan for next 24 hours. All eyes are going to be on the Bank of Canada rate cut tomorrow. So you can look at that 9:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have the Aussie GDP tonight. So if you're in any Aussie trades or if you're in that Aussie Kiwi trade, this is where you get to do your management and your adjustment in order to protect yourself from any, move that would be going, especially against you. You have to move your stop to lock in some profits. But play relative sort of strength and weakness, see what's really moving, see what's relevant in what market condition, and then trade them accordingly. Thanks everyone for joining. See you in the next one. Happy trading. Cheers.